He boarded the jet in silence. No entourage, no flash of cameras, no bodyguards clearing his path. Just a man in a charcoal suit, carrying a leather briefcase worn from real work, not display. Elijah Mercer, 42, self-made tech billionaire, son of a factory janitor and a waitress, took his seat in 2A like any other traveler. No one recognized him at first, which he preferred. Anonymity was a rare luxury. The plane hummed with boarding chaos and morning chatter until a woman in pearls and a white blazer stopped short at his row. Her lips curled not in confusion, but discomfort. "You're mistaken," she said flatly, her voice carrying an entitlement sharpened by habit. "This is first class." Her eyes scanned him top to bottom, not looking at his seat number, only at his skin. Elijah offered a patient smile and handed her his ticket. She didn't look at it before handing it back, shaking her head with condescension so clean you could smell the upbringing behind it. "This seat costs more than some people's salary," she muttered loudly enough for half the cabin to hear, and a man across the aisle chuckled like prejudice was entertainment. Elijah didn't react. Years taught him that dignity isn't loud, it waits. But as the whispers grew, assumptions thickened like fog. A flight attendant approached, not to greet him, but to challenge him. "Sir, may I see your boarding pass again?" The tone wasn't neutral. It was suspicion disguised as procedure. Phones lifted, not openly, just subtly angled lenses hungry for a scene. Elijah handed the pass again, voice calm as Riverstone. "Is there a problem?" The attendant scanned it, eyebrows tightening. No apology followed. Instead, she whispered to a colleague who immediately looked at Elijah like he was a problem to remove, not a passenger to serve. This was not new. Being doubted was a language he knew fluently, spoken to him in boardrooms, hotels, private clubs. He had learned to speak back not in words, but in power. So he sat still, breathing slow as wind before a storm. The woman in pearls leaned toward the attendant with smug confidence. "These seats need security verification, don't they?" she suggested, as if she were helping maintain order. Elijah could have ended this instantly by revealing his identity, but change never happens where comfort lives. So he waited. He watched. He prepared. Because what came next would not just silence a woman, it would shake the cabin like turbulence in the soul. Minutes later, the aircraft pushed back, the door sealed, engines roared. But the unease didn't dim, it sharpened. Mid-climb, as clouds swallowed the windows, the attendants returned like a tribunal. "Sir, we reviewed our system," the lead attendant said stiffly, eyes cold as unpolished steel. "And we believe your ticket may have been acquired," she hesitated, afraid to finish, yet craving to, "improperly." Gasps flicked like sparks across first class. One man laughed, low and mean. "Yeah, I was wondering how he got up here," he scoffed. Another woman chimed, "People sneak up all the time." Elijah breathed in deeply, slow enough to feel every ounce of restraint it took not to respond with anger. They didn't want the truth. They wanted a reason to remove him. "Sir," the attendant continued, "we may need to downgrade you until this is clarified." Downgrade. A word soaked in hierarchy. A word built like a cage for people who look like him. Elijah didn't move. Instead, he opened his briefcase with the quiet ceremony of a man unbothered by noise, revealing a laptop so sleek it reflected faces leaning in with curiosity. He typed with surgical precision, not fast, not dramatic, just undeniable. The woman in pearl scoffed. "Are you emailing customer service?" she sneered. Elijah didn't look up. "No, he said softly, steady as thunder before sound. "I'm buying the airline." Silence cracked open like lightning. Some laughed, nervous, disbelieving, but Elijah continued typing, not for show, but for execution. With a few keystrokes, he logged into his company's investment system. His name glowed on the screen next to 3 publicly listed airlines, including the one he was sitting on. He initiated a $450 million transfer request, eyes steady, heartbeat unshaken. Turbulence hit then, a hard jolt, the kind that throws drinks and reveals true character. Passengers grasped armrests, attendants steadied themselves, and Elijah kept typing through the shaking like the sky itself bowed to the moment. As the aircraft stabilized, his laptop pinged, transfer approved. He turned the screen toward them only long enough for eyes to widen and throats to close. Account balances, acquisition rights, board authorization, proof so irrefutable the plane could have fallen and the truth would still stand. The attendant stuttered. I don't understand." Elijah finally looked up, gaze sharp as truth. "You tried to remove me from a seat I paid for, so I bought every seat on this aircraft and the company that owns them." Phones dropped. Confidence evaporated. The woman in pearl sank into her chair like gravity suddenly remembered her. But Elijah wasn't done. He called his CFO mid-flight, voice calm as if discussing weather. "Yes, proceed with majority acquisition, but we need policy restructuring." He glanced at the people who doubted him, starting with mandatory bias training for every employee. Every breath in the cabin froze. The man across the aisle whispered, "He actually did it." Elijah leaned back, unfazed by eyes that now worshipped what they once dismissed. Power doesn't change you. It reveals who always underestimated you. When they landed, media already swarmed. News outlets alerted when the airline's valuation trembled from the acquisition alert. Cameras flashed like apologies too late to matter. Executives sprinted toward him with pale faces and trembling hands. "Mr. Mercer, sir, we had no idea you were on board," they stammered. Elijah responded with measured calm. "You shouldn't treat people based on who you think they are. You should treat them based on who you are." The attendants who doubted him stood in shameful stillness. Elijah did not humiliate them. He addressed them with firmness, like stone shaped by purpose. Prejudice doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers through assumptions. The woman in pearls attempted a final apology, voice cracking like something inside her broke. "I was wrong," she whispered. "I judged you." Elijah nodded, accepting the words, but not excusing the damage. "Judgment is easy when you think you know someone," he said. "Respect is harder, but necessary." Then he walked through the terminal with no security clearing passage, no entourage, only truth walking beside him like a shadow made of light. The world watched him leave not as a man overloaded with wealth, but as a man rich with dignity unpurchasable by doubters. Social media erupted. #He bought the airline trended globally, not for the spectacle, but the message. Never assume someone's seat was luck. Sometimes it was earned through fire. If this story made your heart tighten, if it made you angry, inspired, or silent with reflection, then do not leave this video without speaking. Racism does not always show up in slurs. It shows up in doubt, in lowered expectations, in disbelief that success can belong to someone who doesn't fit society's default image of power. Elijah's story may be fictional here, but the experience is not. People are questioned every day. People are asked to prove themselves when others are simply believed. People are downgraded, not in seats, but in worth. So let your voice be louder than silence. Comment below how this story made you feel. Have you ever been doubted, dismissed, misjudged? Tell it. Speak it. Your story could be the one that changes someone else's understanding. Then share this video, not for numbers, but for awareness. So someone who needed to hear this story hears it. So someone who makes assumptions might stop and think. So someone who is tired of fighting alone knows they're not. And if you want more stories, raw, human, emotional, subscribe, not casually, intentionally. Because this channel does more than entertain. It exposes truth. It challenges comfort. It sparks perspective. Every view is a step toward empathy. Every comment is a push toward awareness. And every share is a hand extended to someone who needs it. Be part of that, not later, now.